Today, we step into one of the most heartbreaking chapters, stories of famous female celebrities whose lives were suddenly and tragically cut short by drowning. These weren't peaceful farewells. They were shocking, unexpected moments when the water, once a place of escape and beauty, became a silent and final trap, leaving families, fans, and entire communities stunned and grieving. In this video, we remember these women, their lives, and the legacies they left behind. Whitney Elizabeth Houston, the beloved American singer and actress whose breathtaking voice and emotional performances shaped modern pop and soul, passed away on February 11, 2012, at the age of 48. Her death was one of entertainment's most heartbreaking and public losses. Just hours before she was due to appear at a pre-Grammy party, Whitney was in her Beverly Hilton hotel suite preparing for the evening, moving between the bedroom and bathroom as stylists and friends came and went. Around 3:30 p.m., a member of her team found her face down and unresponsive in the bathtub. Emergency responders arrived within minutes but could not revive her, and she was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. The coroner ruled it an accidental drowning brought on by heart disease and the effects of long-term cocaine use. For fans around the world, it was devastating to imagine such an extraordinary woman spending her final moments alone in a hotel bathroom while the music industry gathered just a few floors below to celebrate her. Millions remember her as Rachel Marin in The Bodyguard, where her acting and her soaring rendition of "I Will Always Love You" turned the film into a worldwide phenomenon and cemented her status as the most famous female vocalist of her time. Born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey, Whitney grew up singing gospel at the New Hope Baptist Church under the guidance of her mother, Cissy Houston, and surrounded by icons like Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick, who encouraged her gift. She began as a teenage model, signed to Arista Records at 19, and within a few years became one of the most awarded artists in history, shattering records with albums like Whitney and hits such as "Saving All My Love for You" and "Greatest Love of All." Behind the stage lights, she faced addiction, pressure, and the weight of global fame, but her kindness, laughter, and generosity stayed with everyone who knew her. Even in her hardest times, she kept performing and recording, giving fans songs filled with hope, resilience, and love. Today, even after her tragic passing, Whitney Houston's legacy lives on in her timeless recordings, in the artists she inspired, and in the millions of hearts still moved by her voice. Naya Rivera, the beloved American actress and singer who brought power, vulnerability, and extraordinary depth to one of television's most groundbreaking roles, passed away on July 8, 2020, at the age of 33. On that summer afternoon, she had rented a pontoon boat at California's Lake Peru for a quiet day with her 4-year-old son Josie. Surveillance cameras showed them walking hand in hand down the dock before heading out onto the lake. They spent hours drifting, taking photos, and swimming, but at some point the wind picked up and the boat began to drift. Without life jackets, Naya and Josie jumped into the water. Fighting the current, she managed to lift him back onto the boat to safety, but didn't have the strength to climb up herself and slipped under the surface. Staff found the child asleep alone on the drifting boat when the rental was overdue, sparking a 5-day search watched by her family, co-stars, and millions of fans. On July 13th, her body was recovered near the spot where she disappeared, and authorities ruled her death an accidental drowning, calling her final act a selfless sacrifice for her son. Millions remember her as Santana Lopez on Glee, the tough yet tender cheerleader whose journey of self-discovery and love became a lifeline for LGBTQ+ and Latina viewers. Her sharp wit, big voice, and fierce heart turned a supporting character into one of the show's most iconic leads. Born on January 12, 1987, in Valencia, California, to a close-knit family of African American, German, and Puerto Rican heritage, Naya began acting in commercials as an infant, landed her first major role at 4 on CBS's The Royal Family, and spent her childhood balancing auditions, school, and her family's struggles. That persistence paid off when she joined Glee in 2009, signed with Columbia Records, released music of her own, and starred in films like At the Devil's Door, all while using her platform to support LGBTQ+ youth, women's shelters, and immigrant families. Off-screen, she was open about her challenges with eating disorders and mental health, writing an unflinching memoir, Sorry, Not Sorry, that inspired fans with its honesty. Her life, full of talent, hard work, and compassion, ended far too soon. But Naya Rivera's legacy lives on in her son, in the communities she lifted up, and in every young person who found courage in her voice and in Santana Lopez's story. Natalie Wood, the beloved American film actress who brought innocence, passion, and extraordinary depth to some of Hollywood's most memorable stories, passed away on November 29, 1981, at the age of 43. Her death remains one of cinema's most haunting mysteries. Over Thanksgiving weekend, she joined her husband Robert Wagner, co-star Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain for a trip aboard their boat Splendor off California's Catalina Island. After dinner ashore and drinks back on board, witnesses recalled raised voices and a tense atmosphere. Sometime late at night, Natalie disappeared from the yacht. At dawn, a search began, and hours later her body was found floating face down in the cold Pacific Ocean, a mile from the anchored boat, wearing only a nightgown, socks, and a red jacket. A dinghy she sometimes used was beached nearby. The original coroner's report called it accidental drowning, but noted bruises on her arms and body and a high blood alcohol level. Conflicting witness statements and her lifelong fear of dark water led the case to be reopened decades later, and the cause was changed to drowning and other undetermined factors, leaving her final moments unresolved. Millions remember her as Maria in West Side Story, where her tender performance helped make the film one of the most beloved musicals ever, and as the vulnerable young woman in Splendor in the Grass, which earned her an Academy Award nomination and proved her one of the great dramatic actresses of her generation. Born Natalia Nikolaevna Zakharenko on July 20, 1938, in San Francisco to Russian-Ukrainian immigrant parents, she grew up speaking Russian at home and began acting in films as a child, winning hearts at just 8 years old in Miracle on 34th Street. As a teenager, she broke through opposite James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, then starred in Gypsy and many acclaimed dramas, moving seamlessly from child roles to complex adult characters. Off-screen, she was known for her warmth, generosity, and determination to protect her privacy while raising 2 daughters. Her life, full of triumphs and challenges, ended far too soon, but the performances she left behind continue to glow on screen, keeping Natalie Wood's spirit alive for every new generation. Mary Mara, the beloved American television actress whose talent for playing complex, deeply human characters lit up some of the biggest shows on primetime, passed away on June 26, 2022, at the age of 61. Her death was a sudden and heartbreaking accident. That Sunday morning, she was staying at her sister Martha's summer home in Cape Vincent, New York, a quiet property on the edge of the St. Lawrence River where she had retreated after retiring from acting. She went for an early swim in the river's clear but deceptively strong water and did not return. Around 8 a.m. state police and local rescue crews were called to a report of a possible drowning. They found her body in the river not far from the property. The medical examiner later confirmed she had died of asphyxiation due to drowning and ruled the death accidental, noting there were no signs of foul play. Friends, co-stars, and her manager Craig Dorfman posted tributes remembering her as electric, funny, and a true individual who was loved by everyone who worked with her. Millions remember her as Inspector Bryn Carson on Nash Bridges, a strong, steady presence in a male-dominated show, and as Loretta Sweet on the down-and-out single mother battling cervical cancer whose storyline touched viewers with its raw honesty. Born on September 21, 1960 in Syracuse, New York, to Roger and Lucille Mara, she grew up with one brother and two sisters in a lively household. She attended Corcoran High School, went on to San Francisco State University, then earned her Master of Fine Arts at the Yale School of Drama, and even founded a theater group in the Bay Area before breaking into film with 1989's The Preppy Murder. She moved easily between stage, film, and television, appearing in the New York Shakespeare Festival's Twelfth Night with Michelle Pfeiffer and Jeff Goldblum, playing Billy Crystal's estranged daughter in Mr. Saturday Night, and earning recurring roles on Law & Order, NYPD Blue, Ray Donovan, Dexter, and Star Trek, Enterprise, among many others. In 2008, she quietly battled cancer while still performing on stage, and after her final on-screen appearance in the 2020 film Break, even she retired and returned home to Syracuse, enjoying time near family and the water she loved. Her life, filled with hard work, generosity, and a remarkable range of performances, ended far too soon. But Mary Mara's legacy lives on in her stepdaughter, sisters, nephew, and in the many unforgettable characters she created for audiences who will never forget her.